the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a real talk breakdown from 1948 to now. Let's take it back, way back, to around the end of World War II. The Holocaust and Jewish migration, 1930s to 1940s. During World War II, the Jewish people went through literal hell, the Holocaust. Over 6 million Jews were murdered by the Nazis. After the war, surviving Jews were asking themselves, where do we even go now? They were scattered, stateless, traumatized, and a lot of them started heading to Palestine, which at the time was controlled by the British. That area already had people living there, mostly Arab Palestinians, but it was also the place Jewish communities historically called home. Enter Zionism, a political movement that said, let's go back to our homeland and build a safe place for Jewish people. The Holocaust supercharged that idea. Soon, tens of thousands of Jewish survivors and refugees were making their way to Palestine, legally and illegally. The world gets involved. UN Partition Plan, 1947. The United Nations tried to break up the land. They said, let's split this between the Jews and the Arabs. The Jews said, okay, not perfect, but let's roll with it. The Palestinians and Arab countries said, hold up, you are giving away a land that is already ours. So tensions exploded. The Jews declared Israel a new country in 1948, and the next day, a bunch of Arab countries attacked. The Nakba, 1948-49, the Palestinian catastrophe. This war ended with Israel winning way more land than the UN originally gave them. Over 700,000 Palestinians were forced out of their homes. Many still live in refugee camps today, holding keys to houses they have not seen in 75 years. Palestinians call this time the Nakba, Arabic for catastrophe. To them, it was not just a war, it was ethnic cleansing. To Israelis, it was independence and survival. Flash forward, wars on wars on wars, 1950s to 70s. There were multiple wars between Israel and its Arab neighbors. 1956, Suez Crisis, a short war over who controls a key shipping canal. 1967, Six-Day War. Israel flexed hard and took a lot of territory: Gaza, West Bank, East Jerusalem, Sinai Peninsula, and Golan Heights. This was a major turning point. 1973, Yom Kippur War. Arab states tried to take their land back. It failed. That is when the occupation began, and it never really ended. Israel took over land that Palestinians were supposed to have, and they started building settlements, towns for Israelis only, in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. International law says that is illegal. Israel keeps doing it. First Intifada, 1987-93, we've had enough. Palestinians were tired of checkpoints, curfews, soldiers, and no rights. They rose up in a massive grassroots rebellion called the First Intifada, basically an uprising. It was a lot of kids throwing rocks at tanks, civil disobedience, and sometimes violence. Israel responded with force. It caught the world's attention. That led to the Oslo Accords, the so-called peace plan in the 90s. It created the Palestinian Authority, basically a mini-government, but Israel still controlled borders, movement, and security. Second Intifada, 2000 to 2005, things get real violent. The peace process failed, settlements expanded, and trust was gone. Then in 2000, the Second Intifada kicked off. This one was way bloodier. Suicide bombings, military invasions, airstrikes, a full-on mess. Thousands died on both sides. It ended with Israel building a giant wall around the West Bank. Some call it security, others call it apartheid. Enter Hamas and the Gaza Strip, 2006 to present. Now we have to talk Gaza. In 2006, a group called Hamas, a militant political group, won elections there. They do not recognize Israel and have launched rocket attacks at Israeli cities. Israel and Egypt responded with a strict blockade, cutting off goods, electricity, freedom of movement. Gaza became an open-air prison with 2 million people trapped inside. Since then, there have been wars every few years: 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021. Each time it goes like this: rockets from Gaza, airstrikes from Israel, thousands of dead Palestinians, including children. Israel says, we are targeting terrorists. The world sees schools, hospitals, and homes destroyed. 2023 to 25, war, genocide accusations, and global outrage. October 7, 2023, Hamas pulled off a shocking, brutal attack on Israel, killing over 1,200 people and taking hostages. Israel was shaken. Israel responded with the most intense bombing campaign ever on Gaza. Over the next year, tens of thousands of Palestinians died, many women and kids. Gaza was reduced to rubble. Israel launched a ground invasion. Humanitarian aid was blocked. People starved. Hospitals were bombed. The International Court of Justice is now looking into whether this qualifies as genocide. That is not a small word. Genocide means intentionally destroying a people, and some are arguing that is what is happening in Gaza. The United States, the BFF with benefits. Let's be real. Israel gets billions of dollars in aid and weapons from the United States every single year. Why? Strategic ally in the Middle East. Powerful pro-Israel lobbying groups in America, like AIPAC. Shared values, democracy, tech, military power. But now, younger generations, progressives, and even some lawmakers are asking, are we funding war crimes with our tax dollars? The U.S. has vetoed nearly every United Nations attempt to investigate or condemn Israel, but global pressure is rising. So what's the deal now? There is no clear path forward. The two-state solution is basically dead. Palestinians are stateless, displaced, and under siege. Israelis live in fear of rockets and attacks, and Gaza right now is being called one of the worst humanitarian crises in modern history.